Ready?
All right. Well, we had a pretty crazy night there last night, especially for this show. We talked about it coming into the game that this was a big J&J in the evenings bowl because you had the Bengals against the Ravens. If you've been watching this show long enough, I mean, we've been just kind of been at each other's throats the entire time. Pre-game is pretty interesting there, just discussing that. Josiah, this Ravens team, they had kind of a rough first half. Let's be fair. They had kind of a rough half there in terms of the offense. I thought the defense actually played really well there in the first half. Kyle Hamilton goes down, doesn't look as serious as it did there in real time anyway. But offense comes alive there in the second half. Why is this team that is going to get it down here going forward, Josiah, after watching what you saw last night?
I'm not going to sit here and self-incriminate and say this team can get it done. They've got just as good a shot as anybody else. Lamar is playing some of his best football in his career. He went out here and did things that he's not supposed to do, that I've been told this quarterback can't do. And, I mean, it's anybody's game at this point, but at the end of the day, the Ravens just own the Bengals. This is a broom, Josh. Broom's sweep. You send shit back where it comes from. Just like we sent Cincinnati back with that loss. Not just this year, last year. Not just the last 2 years. Actually, just to get a little bit of salt in the womb, the Bengals have not beaten the Ravens since January 15, 2023. That's the famous 99-yard scoop and score against Tyler Huntley. The team has not beaten Lamar since 2021. So we're actually getting GTA 6 before we get the Bengals beating the Ravens post-2021. But that's a side note. Josh, the Bengals straight up should not have lost this game. The Ravens struggled almost 3 quarters. At halftime, Lamar had 71 passing yards. We talked on Wednesday that Tyler brought up the only way the Bengals could win this game is by taking out Derrick Henry. And you did. You did a very good job containing him. He only got the 1 touchdown off the 10-yard run, 68 on 16 touches. But you couldn't stop Lamar. That's always been the storyline for this team. Lamar in the fourth quarter, he had a perfect pass rating of 158.3, threw for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. Incredible move to go 55 total yards, take it all the way to the 1. Every time Lamar plays these Bengals, he has a career highlight that you're going to see on his tape when he gets to Canton. And I think it shows why he's the MVP. The real MVP did stand up last night, Josh, and it was Lamar Jackson. And you can say, oh, Burrow's better. Burrow's better. Burrow's a good quarterback. He played great. We knew he was going to play great. I called it. I called the Chase thing, too. Say that for another day. But I want to talk about the stat line real quick. Give credit to Burrow, we're due. 34 for 56, 434 all-purpose yards, and 4 touchdowns. But of those all-purpose yards, 316 not only went to Chase Brown, who had 50-plus receiving yards on dunks, but it was Jamar Chase who took this entire team with 11 receptions, 264 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Phenomenal performance by him. Pay the man, Josh. Pay the man. When you throw the ball 56 times, I expect your team to win the game. When you throw the ball 56 times, it makes sense to go over 400 yards. But let me tell you why Lamar was the better quarterback in last night's matchup. Because when the time came for him to go and win the game and deliver, he delivered it right there in his hands. He went 25 for 33, 323 all-purpose yards, and 4 more touchdowns. And he knew how to spread the ball around. The Ravens had 5 different players score touchdowns last night. Like we just said, Jamar had 3. Yeah, Chase Brown was another, and I believe it was Tanner. Was it Tanner Hudson who had the other one? So, what a game. What a game all around, but Lamar Jackson will always be better than Joe Burrow, and until we see anything different, I just have to stand on that fact. But I do have one more thing I want to say, because I know what Josh is going to do here. He's going to come on here and give you the whole excuses why the Bengals shouldn't have lost this game. He's going to go for the penalties and the face mask, yeah. Well, you can look at every game we've watched this year. The Ravens have been screwed by refs. The Bengals have been screwed by refs. I'm pretty sure we could find a couple screws by Buffalo, too. Everybody gets screwed. When it happens to me, I'm told to get over it and not dwindle on it. But now that it happened to him, He gets that excuse. The offensive line played like shit. I can't use that excuse, but he can. The coach made a bad decision. I can't use that excuse, but he can. I just need to say here, the Ravens had 11 penalties for 81 yards last night, with 3 of those being on the final drive. The Bengals got called 3 times for 23 yards. The Bengals are also the least penalized team since 2020. I don't need to hear anything about the refs screwing the Bengals because the refs were terrible on both sides of the ball all game. But I've got 5 takeaways, Josh, and none of these are a hot take. 5 takeaways. Zach Taylor should be fired. I don't know where you're going to start this blame at. You can blame the Brown family for not wanting to pay on defense. But Zach Taylor, there were some play calls that just Joe Burrow, I don't think, agreed with. He was pissed at some of those play calls that he was getting. And I don't know where else to put the blame. You got to put on Zach Taylor. You guys had a receiver who's played 4 years and had 98 career receiving yards, and you let him go out here and go 115 with an 84-yard touchdown, the longest of Lamar Jackson's career. You are up 21-7, and you lose this game. These are games Burrow and Chase should not be losing, and that's all you have. It's actually sad. I feel sad for you guys about it. It's almost time you're going to have to do something different. I think it starts with Zach Taylor. Number 2, I'm not letting my Ravens get out of here with anything either. Zach Orr needs to be fired as well. If you notice, number 1 run defense, number 1 interior, they're playing great. They're getting pressure. The team actually showed the pass rush last night. Was that the Bengals O-line or the Ravens defense? We'll never know. Zach Orr was a linebacker for us. He retired. He became a linebacker coach. The secondary is where this team is struggling. And thanks to Marlon Humphrey for making the all-pro play that helped turn this game around. There's a lot of talent out there in that secondary still, and everybody just looks lost. It's sad, really. And you got to blame the defense coordinator. You can only have so many of these kind of games. 2 of Jamar's touchdowns were thrown on Marcus Williams, who was completely out of position both times. I mean, you cannot get away from that. You can only blame the players so much. And Zach Orr needs to be fired. I'm done. If we got to play the Chargers after the Steelers in a couple weeks, if Greg Roman goes 300 passing yards on us, Zach Orr will be fired. Mark my words.
Who's Zach Orr? What position is he?
Defense coordinator. Number 3, Jamar Chase deserves every penny he's going to ask for. Pay the man, offer the man $40 million a year now and get out of here because he's having an all-pro season and possibly a record-breaking season. The Bengals, at 4-6, crazily, can still make these playoffs. There is a lot of 2-win teams still out here. The Bengals have a very favorable back half schedule. We know that. And they're pissed. They're pissed. The Bengals should have won that game. They didn't. That's just more momentum to add to the fuel. And Lamar's going to need to be a big part of that. You're going to want him happy. Pay the man $40 million a year. Lamar Jackson is the only one in the league right now who could be an MVP. He has already tied record numbers from last year that he won his MVP season, and he's only projected for so many more. He gets better every week, inside and out. He leaves defenses stunned. You know, Burrow's putting up numbers. Goff has a lot of talent around him. Baker Mayfield's putting up great numbers too. Josh Allen is him. But we got to give Lamar the credit where it's due. All the adversity and everything he has to go through. And he's still able to come out on top and do it in such a beautiful, record-breaking fashion. He's the MVP. He's a 3-time MVP. It's going to be decided. Last thing I want to say, it kind of goes back to the whole defensive thing. Both defenses need help. The Bengals defense needs a complete rebuild. The Ravens defense, I think they can be okay. They need a few tightening changes. And we actually looked at the numbers. Joe Burrow threw for over 350 yards on zone coverage last night. We had him shut down. He couldn't even hit more than 120 receiving yards in the man coverage, and a lot of it was his accuracy in man coverage was terrible, which is weird because that's how Joe Burrow usually exploits. He finds out one-on-one coverage and goes for it. But the zone defense just completely collapsed around it. Burrow took good advantage of it, just like Lamar took good advantage of the Bengals running zone. And the more the Bengals blitzed, the better Lamar looked, and that's just how it's been throughout the year. Both defenses need help, and if both teams are going to make a Super Bowl push, they're going to need to do something and get new identities on the defensive side of the ball.
That it?
That's it. Now tell me why I'm wrong, Josh. While I hold my broom up.
So there's a few things that I agree with, and then there's a few things that I just think that you completely missed. So, while yes, I'm going to sound like every Ravens fan here, and I'm going to blame the refs here just a little bit because I have noticed so I've been a Bengal fan now for over 25 years. And I've been watching the Bengals for a long, long, long time now. It seems to me that the rules get changed before the Bengals games start. Because even if we were to take out the 4 penalties that were actually on that last play of the game, the 2-point conversion, even if we were to take those 4 penalties out, let's just start the drive out. Yes, you had 3 penalties there on the drive. You earned them. It's not like that was just the refs trying to screw you. You missed another one on the first play of the drive there with another Burrow face mask. I can blame the refs all day. Now, because I call Josiah so biased all the time, I want to make sure that people know I'm consistent with my takes here. Burrow fucked up a few times. And one thing that I know about this Bengals team is Burrow, quite frankly, is the only thing working. You can say that Jamar is kind of only seems to be working against Baltimore and the below average teams here in this league. So I understand that Jamar looked really good last night. He normally doesn't really look that good there against defenses when T is out because he's getting double covered. That's why I've said on multiple times here on the podcast, just trade him. See what you can end up getting for him because of the down at number 1 receiver. There are times throughout the season I just don't see it. Burrow is the only thing that's working. The fact that last night you end up getting a game where even with all of the blown calls, I mean, if you want to talk about the Wallace touchdown there where there was a false start, and that was realized there not on Baltimore social media. So I don't think you end up seeing this, Josiah. This actually happened on everything other than Ravens propaganda. That was a false start. That was an 86-yard touchdown, by the way. Now, even taking the penalties out of it, the fact the Bengals were still in it just shows you how great Burrow is. And even taking my bias out of it, Burrow and Henderson, there's one guy on both ends of the field there, and Henderson got shut down there against Stanley there last night. Burrow is consistently the only thing working for this team. I do want to end up giving the Bengals props in the fact that they stopped Derrick Henry again. I did say in the pre-show or in the prediction that Derrick Henry against Cincinnati is not the same Derrick Henry. For some reason, Lou Anarumo knows how to defend Derrick Henry. If you remember in the first game, he only had 41 yards there before that last run there in overtime, by the way. So it wasn't even in regulation. Last night was the worst night that Derrick Henry has had since week 1. Like, indisputable, did not have a good night there last night until about halfway there through the fourth quarter when the defense was just kind of shot. I don't want to end up saying that penalties completely could have ended up keeping us there in the game. But to say that you couldn't call those other penalties because they already had 11 penalties called against the Ravens before, it's not my fault that the Ravens are not disciplined. And this idea that you can have a team that is the 32nd ranked pass defense in the league, is the 9th overall or 9th worst defense in terms of points scored against, and you're not disciplined on both ends of the field because, oh yeah, you're also having a whole bunch of holdings and illegal formations that are getting called against you. Against Andy Reid and Mahomes, I don't know how logically you can say, you know what, we'll just turn it off for that game. It happens every game. It won't happen against the Chiefs, even though we haven't beat them the last 5 times that we've played them. Last night, I think it completely showed why Lamar can't be the MVP either. I know that Lamar played really well there last night. The better quarterback was Burrow. Like, let's not get that twisted. The only reason why, let's call a spade, the only reason why the Bengals were in that game, because if you want to say the Bengals end up holding the Ravens there to 7 points there through the first 3 quarters, I don't know if you look at the final score. We gave up 35. So this idea that if Burrow would have been playing like shit, you guys still would have been in it. No. And if you think that was the first time we gave up 35 points, you're wrong. That's the fourth time. By the way, only played 9 games. We've only played 9 games. Okay, and we're sitting here, or sorry, 10 games. We're sitting here now saying, oh, well, I mean, you got to win those games. No, historically, that's a bad defense. And I've told people this over the past few weeks. I watched Boise State's defense there last year. I watched Miami University of Ohio, their defense play this year. The Bengals' defense is worse. You have Hendrickson and you have Mike Hilton. That's about it. That's about all you got. And listen, Mike Hilton really saved the game, to be honest with you, from really getting out of hand, because that tackle they ended up making there to end the first half, that was huge. Not letting Deontay Johnson go out of bounds there. I think Lamar had a real shot there. You still had 15 seconds left by the time he was tackled. That's a lot of time to end up burning there. But I think that's why Josh Allen's MVP case is also a little bit stronger than Lamar's. I do want to say this too. If I'm Joe Burrow today, I guess this offseason, because it just passed, I would demand a trade. If you look last night, dude, he took an ass whooping. I mean, like, he was hit on every play. If you looked at his jersey at the end of the game, his jersey was dirtier than Chase Brown's. Like, he was hit on damn near every single play. Now, I'll be the first to admit he missed the deep shot there to Jamar. They're on 3rd and 2 when we just absolutely failed on the play call. Same thing happened there on 4th and 2. But Joe missed the throw there on 3rd and 2, and I don't know why he threw it to Jamar. I think that Joe ended up missing about 3 or 4 throws during the game. And when your team is that bad, you have to be perfect. And I almost mean throw up like the Jared Goff numbers, but add 15 more pass attempts and pass completions to that. Like, the fact that Jared Goff, for example, can end up having 18 pass attempts and you win by 40, compared to, yeah, Joe had to throw 56 times. He had to throw 56 times in order for the Bengals to even have a shot. They don't have a run game. They end up, handing the ball off to Khalil Herbert, and this ownership group apparently thought, you know what, we have to save up for Joe, save up for Jamar, save up for T. Let's get rid of Bates. Let's get rid of Mixon. Let's get rid of Chidobe Awuzie. Let's make sure we end up losing all these guys. By the way, we're not going to pay Trey Hendrickson. Oh, and in case you missed it, we're also not going to pay Jamar. And we're not going to pay T. It gets to a point where when you are a bottom feeder of an organization, you have a reputation, and when you have a superstar athlete, and I'm not just talking to the Bengals here, I'm talking to all these small market teams, including the Bears, who should be a big market because of their market size in terms of the city per capita and their quarterback. There is absolutely no reason why the Bengals have Joe Burrow, who is the best thing to ever enter into their facility. You come out of that trade deadline, and the only move that you make is let's go trade for Khalil Herbert, who is a 3rd-string running back for a losing team, a losing franchise, a 3rd-string running back for them. Let's trade for that guy instead of trading for a defensive piece that would maybe crack the top 50 for college football defenses after trading for him. This is a bottom 100 defense for college defensive standards. This team is ass. If it was not for Burrow, this team would only have 2 wins on their schedule. Maybe we beat the Patriots if we have Andy Dalton. The only reason why we have 4 wins on our ledger so far is because we have the 2nd best quarterback in the league. And I'm going to die on that hill. Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in this league. Because if he had I talk about Josh Allen being the MVP of this league. If Joe Burrow had what Josh Allen had, 1 seed. 1 seed.
Okay.
And I mean no slight to that towards Allen. If we had what Baltimore had, Lamar had all time to throw last night. Just like you and I texted before the game. We talked about the Baltimore pass rush, how it wasn't great. I don't know. Out of those 56 passes, you want to say that 50 of them he was running for his life? This team is ass. Ass.
A lot of stuff you said there, Josh. There's a lot of things we got to address. We can't just move on. First off, all the years I had to deal with Lamar not being able to win playoff games because we didn't have the weapons, it was Lamar's fault. Now all of a sudden, it's your team's fault. It's not Joe Burrow's fault. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. There's no disputing that. He's playing good football. But unfortunately, to be an MVP caliber quarterback, you got to win important games. You're not going to win an MVP like this. Look at Stafford and Calvin Johnson years ago when the team went 0-16. Phenomenal. I'm pretty sure Johnson broke the receiving record that year. I mean, you're talking about Joe Burrow with weapons. He didn't have Higgins last night, but he does have weapons, and he's got a big guy named Jamar Chase, who's the only reason he won that game last night. You take Jamar out of that equation, Burrow looks one of the worst quarterbacks in the league in that game last night.
Wow.
MVP quarterbacks can go out there. No, you started this. MVP quarterbacks can go out there and win games. Burrow could not. He couldn't finish where he started. As for the penalties on the last drive and not wanting to call it, these excuses, Josh, here's why you can't call it. On that drive, whether the Ravens deserved it or not, there were 3 flags that gave you 50 yards to go down and score this touchdown. There was a bogus call on a first down when the knee was clearly down before the ball crossed. But let's ignore all of that and blame it on these penalties at the end that didn't get called. If the refs call that penalty, the Bengals get to go again, get a 2-point conversion, right? And then, okay, they're up by 1 point. Ravens got 2 timeouts, 38 seconds. Let's go. They're going to go down and get the field goal and win every single time. But with them not throwing those flags, it saves the integrity of the game. It's a bang-bang play. At that point, you are smushed together with the entire 22 personnel on the field. Everybody's pushing. Everybody's holding. Everyone's slapping. They're playing football. It's a physical sport. You're going to get hit in the face. It happens. You cannot throw those flags on those game-deciding plays. Because if you throw a flag and it leads to a win, you've got one fan base completely uproared. You don't throw the flags, you got the other one uproared. Nobody is ever going to win. When my team loses the bullshit penalties, I get trolled and I'm told to get over it. Grow the fuck up and get over it, Josh. Your team was just the worst team. And by the way, Josh Allen has had terrible weapons to work with, too. He had Diggs, and that was it. Literally, that was it. There was an inconsistent run game in Buffalo for 5 fucking years. And he could still get to the playoffs and do everything. Burrow hasn't been to the playoffs in over 600 days. And the fact that you can put Burrow in an MVP conversation because he's putting up these great numbers, but he can't win games, is absolutely bogus. Lamar is not just the second best quarterback. This season, he is the best quarterback in the league. He is the MVP. And as far as I'm concerned, Josh Allen has a better chance of winning MVP than Joe Burrow. But Lamar is on top of everything. And now, I'd like to pass this to Tyler. Tyler, can you really sit here and tell me Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Lamar, played a better game? But I add you, he was a check-down merchant the entire game until he had Jamar Chase. And he's an MVP type of quarterback when this team has beaten the Panthers, the Browns, the Giants, and Aiden O'Connell and the fucking Raiders. Why are we even putting Joe Burrow in MVP?
Before you even go, Tyler, I gotta... Let me ask him another question.
You said a lot of shit. I replied to it. It's Tyler's turn.
You just replied, so I get you've gone twice now. I've gone once.
You're right. So, you get your reply.
Tyler, So I guess there's a few different facets that he wanted to end up mentioning here. For the Ravens, there, would you take Zach Taylor over John Harbaugh and be the only person on the planet? Would you take this Ravens defense or the Bengals defense? Would you take the Ravens just overall top front office management over the Bengals, or do you want to be the only person there in America again? I guess my main question to you is, how is Lamar Jackson, who is supported around historically, this isn't just like this year, by the way, historically, a better front office and franchise, you would take him as being the MVP for Josiah, you're counting for me, a third time, over Josh Allen, who, let's be honest, historically, not only with the front office, let's talk about this season, doesn't have what Lamar has. Do you think Lamar Jackson's the MVP there over Josh Allen? Go ahead.
Josiah doesn't know he's muted.
Listen to you respond.
Josiah doesn't know he's muted. I muted you, Josiah. I had to let Josh talk.
I'm sad. Unmute me.
All right, go.
Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. Josh Allen is a fantastic quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a generational talent. That is why he deserves the MVP. Leave it at that. Go ahead, Tyler.
Wow, that's a lot. A lot to respond to here. We are 26 minutes into the show, and I am getting my first airtime. So, I will take your guys' questions about the Bengals and the Ravens, and I will start with my thoughts on the Bills. Because I feel like more is asked right now this year of Lamar and Joe Burrow than of Josh Allen this year. That's been something that has changed under Joe Brady since middle of last year, and in the offseason, and then so far through 9 games this year, is that we don't ask Josh to be a Superman, superhuman every game. We need him to do that, 3 plays a game, 5 plays a game. We don't need him to try to do it every play of every game. And one thing I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I don't know how much you guys watch Josh Allen when, your team isn't playing on the same time as the Bills, but Josh doesn't throw downfield a lot anymore. Like, 40, 50-yard throws. The times that he does that are when it's, hey, we have, 20 seconds, can you try and set us up for a field goal? Or if he gets someone to jump off sides and he knows it, and he sees, Keon Coleman is down the sideline one-on-one, and I know I have a penalty on this play, I'm throwing deep. But he doesn't do that, and, so I feel like he's relying a lot more on, Khalil Shakir to be, I'm not sure if he's number one. I heard this kind of just briefly on the Red Zone broadcast, but I know that Khalil Shakir is one of the best wide receivers in yards after catch this year in the NFL, because finally we have a receiver who can catch the ball and not, go down immediately, not do a Tyler Lockett. So I don't know. All that is to say, I think that Lamar.
Not do it Stephon Diggs. Sorry.
Lamar is great at what Lamar does, but I think this is one of the first seasons that non-Ravens fans will say that Lamar is playing a great quarterback. I think, Josiah, I've said it to you probably like a month ago. I don't know when exactly it was, maybe 2 months, maybe a month ago, that in past big moments when Lamar had to make a throw, it wasn't a sure thing. And this year, I think he is really taking a few strides on that. But also, that's not to say that, Joe Burrow is putting up numbers every game that video game numbers I mean, and you look and if you saw his stat lines and didn't know their record, you'd be like, oh, this team has to be 7-3. Like, there's no way that your quarterback is putting up these numbers and you're scoring this amount of points and you're not winning. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that us three, like, and we're Ravens, Bills, Bengals, I mean, I've said it before, any of our quarterbacks can be the second best quarterback or the best quarterback in the NFL on any given day. And I mean, we all are biased towards our own quarterback. You know, Lamar, you know, he plays great, and now he clearly has the best running back of our three teams. Clearly. I would say the best offensive weapon overall. But Josh, the Bengals, they clearly have the best wide receiver of any of our three teams. I mean, I think Buffalo, we've got depth. I think we have more depth and more, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth options. You know, I feel pretty good throwing the ball to like 8 different guys. And there's all 3 of our running backs I feel good giving the ball to. I feel like, you know, any rotation with those guys, I feel good. You know, so our offense is, it's hard to compare them because, you know, now the Ravens offense is, oh, well, we've got the most dynamic quarterback, and we also have one of the only run it down your throat running backs left in today's NFL. Your offense, I haven't watched, I've probably watched more Baltimore than Cincinnati this year, but your offense, I mean, you have, you know, obviously Chase, who any given play over the middle can make 5 defenders miss and take it for 70 yards. I've seen him do it live. We saw him do it last night, twice. I mean, he is a very complete receiver. You guys don't have that, Josiah. You have Zay, who is good, but, I mean, it's really hard to compare our offenses. They're all so different. The defenses, I would say we have probably the most consistent defense over the past few years. And I don't know statistically how our defenses stack up against each other this year. I mean, you take the Ravens game out of our defense, and we've played incredible football. I mean, what would the final score end up being that game, Josiah? What do you know?
I think it was like 41-7.
Dude, it was bad. It was rough. Let me see. That was 35-10. So here, I'm just going to go ahead, since I got this up, I'm going to go ahead and look up, I want to see, like, scoring defenses this year. Leaders, team stats and standings, defensive stats, team defense. So, it says that we have the 9th best defense, and then it says the Ravens are 30 and the Bengals are 31. I can't make this up.
Man, well, Lamar's better.
It says we're 17th on yards per play at 5.4. It says the Ravens are 11 at 5.7. Well, I guess so that's backwards. So I guess because more is worse. So it says you guys, the Ravens are 22, the Bills would be 16, Bengals are 9th, they're 5.3. I mean,
look at that.
We have considerably more takeaways. We have 15. The Bengals have 10. The Ravens have 10. You know, the Ravens have allowed 22 passing touchdowns. Bengals have allowed 17. We've only allowed 11. But we've played considerably worse quarterbacks. I mean, you guys have had to play each other. Hell, the difference in touchdowns between your defenses and mine is probably just each other. You know, you take your fucking 2 games against each other out of it. Shit. I mean, because the Ravens are first, or, you know, worst in yards allowed, and the Bengals are 4th. Fuck, the Ravens have allowed 600 yards more than the second place team. Obviously, they played another game, but fuck, man, that's bad.
I told you. Lamar is expected to go out here and be Superman every week, and he does it every week. He puts that cape on and shows why he's an MVP.
What's the team advanced defense? I don't need to see this shit.
How many teams have you let score 35 plus? Isn't it just the Bengals? I can't think of another team that scored 35
Yeah,
or more.
the Bengals 38, 34, and the Bucks scored 31. That's the only three games they scored over 30 or allowed over 30. The Bills, let's see the Bills. Yeah, we've given up 35, 28, 27, and 23. 28 to first week to Kyler. 27 last week to Tua. 23 to Houston. We've allowed four games. We've allowed 10 points.
I mean, how many one-score games? I don't know. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Like Josh, or sorry, Josh. Like Tyler said, I could agree 100%. Any given Sunday, one of us can have the second best or maybe even the best quarterback in the NFL. I do think Lamar, with his talent and his running ability, is light years ahead of the other two in that aspect. Passing game, though, we're all right there together. At the end of the day, let's be thankful we've all got great quarterbacks. And Josh, even though you've been on the short end of the stick, every time these two teams meet up, it is one for the books. And my favorite part about it every time we play you guys is Nelson Aguilar scores a touchdown on you.
Yeah, I realize that.
It's tradition. When I see that Nelson Aguilar touchdown, I can't help but laugh.
I never understand why you defend him so much, and honestly, he only scores against us. That's the issue. Is that every single time he plays us specifically, I don't know if I just put something in the air because of how much shit I talk about him, but for some reason, he does have a lot of good plays there against us and always has a touchdown. But, well, we spent a lot of time on that game. You guys ready to end up getting to some of these other games here on the schedule?
Yeah.
Yes, if we have to.
All right.
You want to read them off? I can do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, I figure it's easier for me than you off your phone.
You know what? I heard you won't.
Okay, first game. This is this.
So I can follow. Can you put the screen up so I can?
Well, I don't want
to put the screen. Follow. No. Does it match your microphone up?
No, I don't want to put the stream up because then I'll freeze on Josh's end.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Then go ahead.
Okay, so this is one of the games on the schedule this week. Giants Panthers. That's a game on the schedule.
Panthers next.
Yeah. Honestly, Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be really low scoring, but I'm going Panthers. Falcons Saints.
Gosh.
So yeah, Falcons. I mean that. I think that Bijan's going to go for a lot here. I loved Atlanta coming into the year. I think that this will be a squash.
Yeah. Also, just a side note, we've got a 3-point game. North Carolina was down by 15. They came back. It's a 3-point game in Kansas with 3.5 minutes left. Crazy.
Man.
Okay, Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. Bills have not won in Indy.
I'm not done.
What?
I'm done. I'm taking the Falcons too. Saints firing Dennis Allen. They've had a fall from grace. No Olave this week. Last time the Falcons played them, the defense put up 2 touchdowns. For that reason, I'm taking them. Okay, go ahead.
Just I was ready to start buying some Kirk Cousins stock by 10 weeks into the year too. It's
Saints,
awesome.
I already have bought it.
The Saints fucking suck. Okay.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. Bills haven't won in Indy since I think '82, as my dad said last night. I don't know how that stat is real, but
I wanted to take Indianapolis to start the week, but I think after looking at the injury report, I think it'd be kind of odd if the Bills did lose this spot. I don't think that they're gonna win out necessarily. But I think a game like this, I think this one's pretty easily in hand because, I mean, you're even missing your center if you're the Colts. I think that this game will probably be a little bit closer than Bills fans want it to be. But I think that with the injuries, I don't see how the Bills lose this.
I'm taking the Bills too. The injuries are stacking up. Lucas Oil is a beautiful stadium. It's hard to go in there and win. But the Bills can easily do it. I do think it's going to be
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Bills are due a loss. This, everything we're looking at now, screams trap game. So I am taking the Bill. Don't be shocked if they end up losing this one by a field goal.
I love how, Josiah, you said the injuries are stacking up. The Colts have 6 people on their Week 10 injury report, and the Bills have 19.
Probably a bunch of scrubs.
Like Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, our starting quarterback, our cornerback 1, our top linebacker, our wide receiver 1, Amari Cooper, our cornerback 2, both of our tight ends. Well, actually, all 3 of our tight ends. Yeah, scrubs, yeah.
Well, the Ravens had 14 players on the injury report last week as well, and almost every single one of them played. So how many of your fabricated report are actually going to play?
All right, buddy. We had a player die on the field in the middle of a game, okay? They're not fabricated.
Oh,
okay?
no. We're not bringing
We
the ball
take
back
that
in.
shit seriously, Josiah. We had a player die on the field.
That's shit.
Okay, next game.
All right.
Coin flip.
Broncos and Chiefs. Do they stay perfect?
Yeah, I tend to think they end up staying perfect here. I think that the Broncos will end up playing them a little bit closer than they did their last week against Baltimore, just because I think that Kansas City has a little bit less to end up less their offense than Baltimore does right now.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that D-Hop is going to start going off, and maybe last week was the coming out party. Like, maybe this is when he does start going off. I think it's still going to take him a few weeks, but I think that I think the Broncos will cover the spread because I believe it's at 6.5, or maybe this one was the 8. But I'm still taking Kansas City to win this game.
There's always that one team in the division that Mahomes struggles against, and they are due a loss. They have a great defense, but Mahomes is ass. He's 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The offense just does not have it this year. I mean, the Denver Broncos number 1 defense in the NFL. I think this has trap game written all over it. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I'm thinking Denver Broncos beat Mahomes for the second time in his NFL career. He is against Denver, losing his first one last year, and he's due a loss here. Give me the Broncos.
Just real quick, you had said 3 words there. You said Mahomes is. What was that last word that you said before Tyler goes?
Well, you could rotate that word a lot. It could be anything.
Oh, okay. You said ass. You said ass. I just want to make sure the audience ended up hearing that. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. How can you say he's good? The defense is carrying this team, and you got a good defense in the Chiefs, a good defense in Denver. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to the kicking game, and I like Denver in this one.
He's playing like ass. That's what you should. Nah, he's ass. Just like he's compared to Brady already.
Okay, first, just I do want you to know that not every game is a trap game just because one team is good and one team is like less than. Because some teams we don't lose to lower opponents, we lose to other teams who are in the playoff picture. We don't lose to teams like the Raiders and the Browns. I just want to get that out there, okay? Anyways, I do think that the Chiefs will win. And I'm rooting for the Chiefs to win because the last thing I want is for the Chiefs to lose and come into Buffalo next weekend all pissed off. It's the last thing I want. I want the streak to be intact.
Is that because you want a trap game?
Huh?
Is that because you want a trap game?
Yeah. Okay. You got it. Okay.
Muted the rest of the show.
Yeah. Okay.
Josh ever did. He said some off the wall crap too.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs. The Broncos are good, but the Chiefs defense, I don't know if the Broncos offense really has the weapons to score enough points. Anyways, Vikings at Jaguars. Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence. This game would have went crazy about 4 years ago. Oh, I guess 3 years ago.
Sam Darnold, Mac Jones, I think you mean.
Huh?
Trevor Lawrence ain't playing.
Why not?
He's hurt.
Hurt with what? Fucking, did he get his hair pulled too hard?
I think he got his ass hurt.
It says his shoulder. He was fucking giving someone a courtesy little reach around. Fucking dislocated his shoulder. Come on, bud.
Maybe
Sam Darnold and never take Mac Jones. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I don't. Just go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe this is a conversation for next week, but I wonder if with some of these recent quarterback contracts that we've given out fairly early, and believe me, I have seriously dug my heels there on Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not trying to backtrack and say I knew this was coming or anything like that. I wonder if after Trevor got paid, and like Jordan Love has kind of struggled this year, but he's paid $55-56 million a year. I wonder if we are going to get to a point where we're starting to pull back because of how early we're paying quarterbacks, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. Even if Trevor plays in this game, the fact that now in 2024 I'm saying that Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, when Trevor Lawrence coming into this season was a top 10 quarterback on my list, that's a huge fall from grace, man. That goes back on Jacksonville for sure. Minnesota's going to beat the living piss out of Jacksonville, whether or not Trevor ends up playing.
This is something I was thinking about today because I was watching a YouTube video, listening to a YouTube video while I was at work about some of the worst quarterback trades in NFL history. Do you think that the way that Deshaun Watson kind of broke the quarterback market, do you think that the kind of continued trend of paying quarterbacks that don't really deserve it and are kind of dog shit, do you think that in the next couple of years that's going to kind of align itself in kind of more of a quarterback normal market? Because more often in the past few years than not, teams have proven that, hey, Jordan Love gets hurt, and okay, Malik Willis has to come in. Yeah, he hasn't played great teams, but Malik Willis is 2-0 and came in, in the third, in second half of a game a couple weeks ago and end up, holding on to the win. And J.J. McCarthy gets hurt. Oh, well, we're going to start Sam Darnold, and he's going to lead us to what? They're 6-2. And so, I mean, obviously there's a tier of quarterbacks that you pay. You pay you pay every one of our quarterbacks on this screen. You pay Mahomes, you pay Jared Goff. But why the hell is Danny Dimes getting that money? Why is Trevor Lawrence? Why is Derek Carr getting all that money? I mean,
I'll tell you why. Because the NFL makes a lot of money. I mean, let's look at the league over the last 10 years. Just a decade ago, Joe Flacco broke the record for the biggest contract by a quarterback for $120 million over 5 years. And that was a big deal then. Now you do have Danny Dimes making $40 million, Derek Carr making $40 million, Jordan Love making $50 million, Jalen Hurts making $50 million. Every team in the NFL is a billionaire team. You sell that team, you are a billionaire if you're the single shareholder. It didn't used to be like that either. The Cowboys were the only billionaire team, and then it was the Giants who were the next one. There was the history there. The sport will continue to grow. More revenue is going to come in, and as the game grows, a quarterback who puts up performing numbers is going to get his contract if he sucks after it. The only way you're going to fix it is set a cap for the quarterback position. That's the direction it may go, but I would say not once in history has the NFL seen paying contracts go backwards. They only go frontward, and it's going to keep increasing.
But for running back.
I agree, but the other thing working, against what you just said is the fact that patience is running as thin as it's ever been in the NFL for young quarterbacks. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, Will Levis. I mean, Anthony Richardson was given 10 games, 12 starts, 10 starts, and they said, "You're not the guy. We're sitting you." And Bryce Young, he was given, 17, 18 games? Granted, those guys are bad. But I think 15 years ago, they would have been given 2 years to develop. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I think Bryce should have had at least 2 years to develop. I completely get why we're not playing Richardson right now. Are we all in agreement on that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Like that it's him and Watson I put in two different camps. Richardson was already kind of a reach there for as it was because he didn't play there in college.
Yeah,
then he gets hurt in every single game that he got an opportunity to start there in year one. Year two, he completed less than 50% of his passes, and in fact, in modern NFL history, lowest completion percentage to start a career, and he also tapped out of a game when essentially, as a quarterback, you're the face of the franchise. That's what brings in the revenue. That's what makes you relevant. All of the teams that are good right now, their quarterback is excellent. Even if Goff is not super important, Deshaun is another one where I don't think the Watson contract does anything for the quarterback market. Because I think with Watson, I think it is, excuse me, the lawsuit, I genuinely believe, has ruined him. I think it's completely ruined him. I think it's affected him because he's consistently thinking, okay, Browns fans hate me. Media hates me. Women, I will not be able to marry anybody. They all hate me. Deshaun Watson, I just watched that. Deshaun Watson is somebody that I think you have to put in a different category because, Josiah, if you were to say, who has the worst quarterback contract in the league, and you weren't following it now, you hadn't followed it in 2 or 3 years, I would assume the teams that you would guess would probably be the Jags, the Giants, maybe, because even they were kind of a blue blood there before this whole regime really dug its heels in. The Browns would probably be your first pick. That would end up having the worst quarterback contract in the league, or at least the worst contract there in the league, right?
I think it would be down between the Browns and the Cowboys. I think they overpaid for Dak by a lot.
But Dak looks like a Heisman compared to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Deshaun wouldn't start for Boise State. Deshaun wouldn't start there for Xavier. It's bad, man. I feel bad for Browns fans. I don't even know how we got there. Jags. Yeah, man, I feel bad for Jacksonville because I was right there with y'all.
That was a long... okay.
What say for next week?
All right, Patriots, Bears.
Gosh, it doesn't get better. Bears.
Patriots.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Okay.
Fuck Caleb Williams.
Gosh.
I'm going Patriots as well, not because I don't think that the... listen.
Trap game.
No, it's not a fucking trap game. What team is good? What team is good in this situation? They both are fucking ass. just think that I think the Patriots defense is better than the Bears defense, and I think the Patriots offense has consistently put up points. I mean, I just think that there's a better chance of the Patriots outscoring the Bears than the Bears blowing them out. I could fucking Sunday at 4:15, I'll check back and I might look fucking stupid. You know, Caleb might have a really good game, but I just think Patriots, you know, they've kind of been in more games than what I think the Bears. I mean, the Bears just got their fucking shit rocked out in Arizona. I mean,
look at who the Bears have beaten. I mean, what was it? The Panthers, the Giants. Oh, this sounds like the Bengals.
While we're talking about teams that we've beaten, I mean, just do we want to visit who we've beaten? Do we want to visit that? Oh, okay. No, because Lamar's the MVP. Harbaugh should get fired. No, I got it. I think Chicago has a shot at losing this game, but I don't think it's because of talent, because I disagree. I think that the offense for Chicago blows way past New England's, just because I think New England is running a very much 1970s offense.
yeah.
With a quarterback that has a good shot at popping off. They just don't have the weapons around them. I do think that New England has a shot, but it's just because I think that Chicago's already quit on the coaching staff. So I do want to get that. Like, I do think Chicago has a shot to lose this game, but I don't think it has anything to do with talent. I think it has everything to do with just the belief in the coaching staff, honestly.
Yeah. What Rich Eisen said it best. What happened in the last 61 minutes of football? The last play, and then getting beat 29-9 and leaving your starters in for the entire game. I mean,
yeah. I mean, do you think about this? Think about this. The Hail Mary, that was the end of the game, end of the half, for Washington to beat Chicago. Okay? The next half to end, they gave up the most the biggest rushing touchdown to end a half in NFL history to a third-string running back. And it's just, and like the Washington one was just so remarkable as it was. You thought there's no way they come out and do it again. DeMarco was like, you know, I got you. I'm just gonna do it on the run.
Want to see me do it again?
I'm gonna do it that way.
Okay. Finally, a good one. We got a couple good ones here. Steelers, Commanders, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think that this is when you figure out who's real and who's pretend. Because the couple of teams that Russell Wilson led Steelers have ended up beating haven't really been too impressive. If you're buying into the Giants, you can be a lone wolf. But the people that actually watch football, we don't really believe in the Giants whatsoever. And the Jets as well. If you're part of ESPN FS1, go ahead. Believe in the Steelers. But people that actually watch football, we know that the Jets aren't a good football team. So if you want to take a lot out of those games, again, go ahead and be a lone wolf. I'm not a huge believer in the Steelers because I don't believe in the quarterback. I've watched Russell Wilson over the past few years. But here's the thing, man. Washington really hasn't beaten everybody either. Like the best team that you could possibly argue that they've beaten is the Bengals, and I just got done talking about how shit the Bengals are. I do feel like this is a spot for one of these two teams to solidify that they are a good team, but the team that loses this they're in a rough spot. But on Mr. Consistency, I will take Washington.
Gosh, I could not disagree with you more. You should know better than to put your stock in a rookie quarterback when it comes to not only playing an AFC North team, but one of the best AFC North defenses and one of the best defenses in football. Mike Tomlin will make this game hard. Is the game in Washington or is it in Pittsburgh?
It's in Washington.
That's going to be good for you.
To add to your point, Tomlin's 25-6 against rookie quarterbacks. To add to your point.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I get you don't like the offense, you don't like the field, didn't like Wilson. But one thing the Steelers consistently is moving the ball on offense and not turning it over. You heard Zach Taylor say in the post game last night. Every time you play the Ravens, it comes down to the turnover battle. You lose the turnover battle, you lose the game. You look at the same situation here. You lose the turnover battle, you lose the game. Jaden's been a great rookie, and he's still rookie of the year candidate. Last 2 weeks, he hasn't been that sharp. And now you're asking him to go in there and beat not only the Steelers, but the 6-2 Steelers who are holding on for first place. I got to take Pittsburgh, man. I have to. Defense.
Damn.
You don't have to, but. All right. Well, shit. I guess it's my turn. I'm gonna take the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Lone Wolf again. Look at this.
I don't know. I just think you kind of know what you're going to get from the Steelers, and I mean, it's what Russ's third week starting, yeah. They were on a bye. They were on a bye last week, so yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I could be wrong. I think it would be great to see Washington win, and who do you think the win would mean more for?
Washington.
Who have the Steelers beat, though? Hold on a sec. Real talk. Who have the Steelers beaten this year?
The Steelers.
What's the one? They beat the Falcons there week 1, which you can put an asterisk next to.
Kirk didn't play very well.
I think you have to look at them as 2 different teams.
They beat.
So who has Russ beat, and then who has Justin beat?
Yeah.
That is 2 different conversations.
So Steelers have 6 wins. Who are they?
They have Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Jets, Giants. I don't think they have a good win. I think the Commanders have. Huh?
The most case you can make for a good win there would be the Chargers or the Falcons, because right now those are both teams sitting in playoff positions. This game could mean a lot to Pittsburgh to go into Washington on the road. I know it's not that far of a travel, but to go into a hot young team, 7-2, and go take that win and keep fighting for the AFC North race that is so very close between the Ravens and Steelers, it would mean a lot to them. Yeah, especially considering the Ravens and Steelers play each other next week, going into possibly having a tied record.
Yeah, if the Steelers lose, that drops them out of AFC North. The top of it right now. 49ers at Buccaneers. What we got?
This is a tough game for Tampa, I think, man. I mean, Tampa really doesn't have a lot working there on offense. Kate Otten is probably going to have another good game, so if you're starting him in fantasy, go ahead and start him. But McCaffrey coming back is a huge jolt to this offense, and they've had some really bad red zone numbers, specifically just scoring touchdowns, and they've had revolving kickers throughout the year. So getting a guy like McCaffrey back is just so huge for them. I know that this spread is at 6.5 the last time I looked. You might as well make it 15, and I still think that San Francisco covers. It's nothing against Tampa. I just think that McCaffrey adds so much to this offense. I mean, dude, they're 7-8 without him. Whereas they're winning at about an 80% clip they're with him. This adds a lot. And coming off a bye, Shanahan against a defensive head coach, this is an easy cover for San Francisco.
Yeah. But Baker's been playing out of his mind. Give credit to even without having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans right now. But 49ers, Christian McCaffrey return game. They need this win. I can't see a route that gives the Bucs the win, so give me the Niners.
Yeah, I'll agree this time. For once. All right. Titans, Chargers. Chargers, yeah. Do we need to talk about it?
Yeah.
No.
All right. Jets, Cardinals. Last dying hope for the Jets.
So I haven't thought about that. The Jets, they're about as good as the Panthers are. So
This game is Jets written all over it. The Cards are one of those teams. They play great one week, ass the next. Rodgers, I think, has some momentum going into this game, so give me the Jets.
You mean to tell me that you think the Cardinals are inconsistent? They've won 4 out of their last 5, with the loss being to Green Bay.
Okay, but look at their first 5.
they only beat San Francisco.
They beat the
No big
Rams.
deal.
Look who they're beating and look who they're losing to.
Yeah, okay, they
Rams
lost.
and Niners.
They lost to the Bills by 6 points. They blew out the Rams. They lost to the Lions by a touchdown. They got blew out by Washington. And then they did lose by 20 points to the Packers. But, I mean, come on, dude. You got to give them a little bit of credit.
I'm giving them lots of credit. They were one of my sleeper teams at the beginning of the year. I said, why are we not giving this team enough attention? They're playing good football, but it's just it's a tall order to ask.
You think they're going to lose to the Jets, though? The Jets.
I do. The Jets have momentum right now. They're coming off a really great back-to-back wins.
Tyler, do you remember at the beginning of the season when the Jets don't have any holes? I mean, the only team that was more complete than them was Miami. Do you remember that?
Just the Jets are not coming off back-to-back wins. They have won 1 of their last 6 games. They started 2-1 and they're 3-6.
And they just beat the Giants. And who they beat?
No, they beat the Texans. They beat the Texans. Before that, they had lost 5 straight. They fired their head coach. They fired their offensive coordinator. They traded for a top 5 wide receiver. And they still are fucking ass, dude. They had to resort to beating a Texans team that fucking one of us 3 could have went and been a wide receiver for.
Yeah, because they didn't have Diggs or Collins. Before you make that argument, Josiah, because I've known you long enough. I know that was about to be your argument. Well, the Texans, that's a good team. Yeah, without their top 2 wide receivers.
And they sacked C.J. Stroud.
They still had Mixon. They still had Stroud. Still have a great defense, great head coach. Don't you remember when you told me Houston was good?
Whoa.
Don't tell me how good of a football team Houston is, and now
mute. You just got the mute. You mean to tell me a Texans team that let C.J. Stroud get sacked 8 times, that's suddenly a good team?
It's a tough spot because I mean when you don't have Nico Collins, you don't have Stephon Diggs, you're playing a Jets team at home, like in New York. That's supposed to be a spot where C.J. Stroud, a second-year quarterback, is supposed to end up going in there and playing. I understand they had Joe Mixon. The defense, I was reliably informed, actually by you, Josiah, that this Jets defense was a top 5 defense. I don't remember you saying that about Houston. And they are missing their top 2 receivers. And yeah, you can say that C.J. Stroud is better than Aaron Rodgers. And maybe you can make the solid argument that DeMeco Ryans is far and ahead, better than any sort of coach there on the Jets team there. But on paper, dude, the Jets were favored by 2. Vegas had said the Jets were supposed to win that game.
Yeah. You're not muted anymore, Josiah. I just want you to know. But that was a dumb argument. The Jets are not.
Okay, so Houston's a good football team when you guys want to use it for an argument, but they're bad when I want to use it.
Yeah, they were fully healthy. They had Diggs and they had Collins. And they had a 3-touchdown lead on us. Yeah.
And guess what? They're still first place in the AFC South, and the Jets beat them. So once again, give me the Jets, and we'll shut you guys up on Monday.
That by the way, Tyler, that was a Ravens take that he threw in there because he talked about he had said, "Oh, it's a good team whenever we play them." He's talking about the playoffs there last year when they ended up playing there in the playoffs. C.J. Stroud's first playoff game. that was supposed to be a really good win for Lamar to try to shut up some of the playoff games, in case you didn't catch that there.
I give the Jets credit for beating Houston. It doesn't matter how you look at it. The football team place in the South, they earned it.
You gonna pick the Cowboys to beat the Eagles too next game? You gonna pick the Cowboys, back up Cooper Rush? Maybe Trey Lance will get in there too. You gonna pick them to beat the Eagles?
You know what? I just might. Why don't you wait and see?
Well, that's the next game on the docket. So we've got an Eagles 7-point line. Give it to me, Josiah. Let's hear it.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is like A.J. Brown has been questionable all week. He's kind of day-to-day right now there with a knee injury. Devontae Smith has a hamstring because all of my fantasy football players have to have a hamstring injury this year, apparently. Dallas Goedert, another famous hamstring injury that has been going on there. So Philadelphia is beat up. But if you've watched any sort of meme after the election, if you think that the Saquon with Trump's head there on it, leapfrogging there over Kamala, if you thought that was a really cool little meme there, I think there's going to be another one that happens here in this game. Just have a feeling.
Hold on, I'm looking at something real quick. Yeah, this is the game that I lost my fantasy. I'm looking at the last 5 matchups. There, Dallas is 1-3, Philly's 1-2. Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles. Eagles, probably some cautious momentum, cautious optimism. I think that it's probably a good thing they didn't start the year hot like they had been. You know, the last couple of years they had, nice winning streaks to start the year. And this year the Eagles are what? They're 6-2? Yeah. Wow. I think they started 2-2 or 3-2. So they've been on a little roll here. I'm gonna go with the Eagles though. I don't think it's gonna be close. Okay, Josiah. Lions at Texans. How good are the Texans? Let's hear it. At home. Texans at home. Sunday night.
Maybe NFC championship team good. Give me Detroit.
Came off it really quick. I like it. I like it though because it worked for one argument, and there's like, wait a second here. Wait a second. I think I was wrong on that one. And you know what? I've had that before too. Well, actually on the sports side, I can't have that, but
if anybody can confidently say the Texans are going to win this game, then more kudos to you, man. The Lions have everything going in their favor. This is a Sunday night football game, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
We'll get to see see America's pick. How much you guys want to bet America's pick is going to be 88% or more Detroit? That's what you're looking at. Detroit is a Super Bowl favorite team this year. It would be foolish of me to take Houston over Super Bowl favorite team. Now, maybe if they were playing like the Packers or the Vikings, I could make an argument.
Yeah, I think that the Nico Collins may be coming back. I really just don't see how he comes back. But if he does come back, I could see maybe how somebody makes an argument. I don't think that Detroit's going to run the board after losing that Tampa Bay game. But I do think that Detroit is good enough to where I really don't see how they lose more than 3 games this year. I don't see that being a loss here on their schedule this week. I do think that Houston's going to have some sort of trickery because I think Houston, with them losing Will Anderson this week, he's expected to end up being out. That's kind of where it tilted. If you would have had Nico and Will Anderson playing, I actually think that Houston wins this game. But I think with the 2 of them possibly missing it sounds like Anderson is, Nico might. I think with just one of them missing it, I think that's where Houston ends up losing it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions. Simple.
Yeah.
This is a Monday night football game. Dolphins at Rams. Jalen Ramsey Bowl. This is a bad football game.
Yeah, the Rams are going to win by like 20.
Really? I'm taking the Dolphins. It's about time they start connecting and doing something. It's going to be to a second game back.
Third game.
Okay.
Third game, buddy. Third game.
Third game. Excuse me. Before I say anything else and get muted, because I know that's what Tyler's waiting. Are the Rams really that good of a football team?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Miami's active here. Are the Rams really that good of a football team?
Miami.
Is Zay Flowers better than Cooper Kupp?
Well, Rams lost to the Lions. They got pwned by the Cardinals. Beat the Niners by a field goal. Lost to Caleb Williams. Lost to the Packers. Barely squeaked by the Raiders. Topped Minnesota. Was able to beat Seattle. Now you got Miami.
So they beat the Raiders, but the Ravens couldn't. So. We just went through this. I mean, are we discounting the Raiders or are we not?
Early in the season.
Trap game.
Trap game.
Devontae Adams at over 100 receiving yards. When you guys got to play the Raiders, Josh, you didn't have Devontae Adams. You didn't have that explosive offense. You had Brock Bowers to worry about, and that was it.
Yeah, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah. And you know what, Josiah? Sorry, Josh, but
no.
You know, you're listening off. Yeah, the Rams started 1-4 because I don't know, they were injured to all hell.
Yeah, so
I mean, they were signing people off the damn street, I think. So
injuries were not. It was Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua on and off. They always had one or the other.
No, they literally had multiple games without both of them.
Yeah.
Not many, if multiple. Not many. Less than two, I bet.
Do you know when they got him back, Josiah? Pop quiz. When did they get him back?
Well, Cooper Kupp came back last week, and Puka Nacua's come back and on and off twice now.
Nope, Minnesota. Minnesota's when they both came back.
Yeah.
That was the correct answer. And when did they start winning again, Tyler? Just remind me.
Well, they did beat the Raiders the week before Minnesota, something Baltimore couldn't do, and then they've won 2 straight, Minnesota and Seattle. Okay.
Raiders are tough. Raiders are really tough.
Yeah. Especially when you get them at home. That's when they're tougher, you know?
Can we win the Super Bowl and Lamar gets to hoist the Lombardi? Will that finally be what it takes to get you guys to lay off this team?
You've been asking the same question for 7 years, and I'll tell you the same thing. Yes. You've been asking for 7 years now, and I will say yes the next 7 years as well, because you'll be asking me the exact same question 7 years from now.
Josiah, I'm not dogging on the Ravens. I'm dogging on your web of, arguments here, okay? Anyways, I'm taking...
Great argument.
Huh?
Any given Sunday. That's a great argument to make.
Any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. Beat us by a field goal as time expired. They kicked the field goal to beat us as time expired. We lost to the Chiefs by a toe. We lost to Cleveland by 4 points as time expired. But I'm supposed to sit here and feel bad about losing to the Raiders. I don't. They were a great team early in the season. They had a lot of talent still playing. They had something to play for. What I can't accept is the fact Gardner Minshew has beaten us twice in 2 years. I can't get around that. But I can get around the Raiders with a field goal.
We kind of joked about it here before the show here, but we're trying to expand here as a podcast. If you're under the age of 16, please turn us off. I don't we joked about just not wanting a whole bunch of Josiah watchers watching football and giving their takes on it and whatnot. If you're under 15 and you're trusting Josiah's instincts here, go ahead, unsubscribe. Comment down below though what you think. I'm joking.
2 Super Bowls.
Lamar? Oh no, 2 MVPs. That's what you're okay. 2 MVPs. Regular
Combined between all 3 of us.
With Lamar or the previous edition? Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page there.
The Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls, so.
The Bengals ended up making 3 Super Bowls, and only one of them was for this current iteration of the Bengals, and I don't even get credit for that one because it was 3 years ago. Another person's quarterback gets credit for a Super Bowl that ended up happening 5 years before he got there. It's crazy how that works. It is mathematically insane how that works. But he does get credit for it. It's how he gets in the Hall of Fame.
Have your franchise get a Super Bowl, and then your arguments can be valid.
All right. Send us out. Send us out before I mute him, Josh.
Awesome.
Send us out.
Well, if you have not already, comment down below why Lamar Jackson is better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady? Who dey? Hey, Joe. Long term.
Weep.
Let's go Flyers. We got a Big Ten team coming in tomorrow. Fuck.
Let's go.
Fuck.